8-ish.
Got it.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm glad you guys could join us tonight. And here we are. It is the 29th of January, which I don't know. January felt a little blurry to me, but here we are at the end. And I want to take a few minutes to, first of all, encourage you guys to finish the month. Um, I feel like it's easy to kind of give up on the month when you're just a few days out. But honestly, there's still quite a bit of time, and there are some really simple action steps you can take um, in the next 4 hours, 24 hours that can really change potentially where your month can end. And so I'll just share a few things now. So some quick action steps for you now. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about just the Bob Heilig training that was this past week. And there was just a ton of really valuable nuggets in there. And I don't know, what he shared just really gave me a big sigh of relief in some ways, as far as really just laying out simply really what we do and how we can do it well. And so anyway, I'm excited to jump into that too. But I do have just a couple of things that are going to be simple tasks that you can do to potentially shift or help bump up some of those points that might not be quite where you want them yet. Um, one of them is going to be to make a post. And I want you to do this. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to do this as we talk about some of Bob Heilig's trainings. But really, I want you to try incorporating your story into your post. So it's going to be a post that we'll talk about this, but it's essentially a how I post. So make a post about how I handle this, or this was a challenge of mine, and this is how I solved that problem. So this is going to be a plexus related thing. So maybe think about one of the health issues that you've struggled with and how I handled that, and how plexus, essentially you're going to use plexus in it, but you're going to say how this helped me handle this problem. So I want you to make a how I post. The next thing I want you to do is think about who are 3 people that you've just been in conversation with, um, that you can share about the end of the month promotions we have going on. Maybe you haven't talked to them about plexus before. Maybe they are people you have. But either way, I want you to reach out to people about some of the things going on at the end of the month. 3, I would say, would be just a good, simple number. If you have more in your head, do more. 3, I think, is just it's a doable number for all of us. And the other thing I want you to think about as well is, who are 3 people that you can message, that you can just add value to and encourage. Don't make it about anything plexus, but I want you to just invest in the person, invest in the relationship, just add value to their life in a private message to them. So those are just 3 little simple things that I want you to put on your list to do. They're probably pretty easy to whip out tonight still, and you're going to just feel that much better about how not only are you ending this month, but they're going to also help you as you're moving into next month. These last 3 days of the month and the beginning 3, I'd say even 5 days of the new month, are just a really I'd say they're a hot time. They're a time when people you've been sharing a lot and there's just a lot of excitement and energy. And it's a great time to start new conversations, but then also try and close some sales in that time frame as well. Um, I also would encourage you, one of the incentives for really this quarter, but they're monthly, is look at who are the customers that you've added since November, and check if you haven't been, check in with them. If they haven't ordered in January, make sure you message them about the Save 10 promotion that's going on. If you have 6 people that ordered starting in November all the way through December, any of those people, if they order in January, you're going to get an extra, I think it's $200. Um, maybe it's 4. I can't remember the number off the top of my head right now. But anyway, it's a way for you to get a little extra money in your pocket, but it's also a great way to just care for your customers, to check in with them, see if there's anything they need, how you can support them in their health goals for the new year. So that is something else I'd encourage you to do. So, all right, shifting gears a little bit, I want to share a little bit and also hear from you guys about just thoughts on the Bob Heilig training. Um, Good question, Mary. Do you need to sign 3 before getting that retention incentive of 200? So I think they don't need to be people from January. I think that is retroactive to December. Is that right, Sal? So like it's just from the month prior. Um, if you have 3 from the month prior, then you can get the $200. I would probably check the help center just to make sure of the details, but I believe that is accurate. Um, okay, so yes, I want to talk a little bit more about this Bob Heilig training because I do think this is something he shared in it, and I think it was helpful for me to think through too. I think a lot of us have felt like we're kind of spinning our wheels on social media and we're not seeing the excitement and the traction and the interaction from social media like we have in the last handful of years. Um, and what was interesting with what he shared, I thought was just like, um, he just said like the way we were sharing in 2020 isn't going to be working in 2024. Social media has changed and really attention is the currency. And so we want to be sharing things that grab, but also hold people's attention. And really the way to do that is to be sharing and adding value to the social media world, but specifically your target audience. And so I thought that was just really helpful. Like it's not necessarily us, but it is just a shift in how things are working. And that's just also just part of any business. Like things change and shift and evolve. And the same is true for what we're doing as well with Plexus. So I would really love to hear from those of you that have listened to the Bob Heilig training. I would love to just hear some of your takeaways. And we'll just start with that. If you have 1, 2, 3 things, whatever you want to share that you found really helpful, I'd love to hear it and we can talk more about those things. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. So
So I love this guy. I hear him when I can live every day at 9 on Instagram. So the concept of transactional content, it was not new to me because he talks over and over. But one thing that I really liked that it was kind of an encouragement. I'm not a sale person. Like I lost friendship over sales last year, and that destroyed my confidence. So what I've been learning with him and what I love about this training, I put your business is not defined by the product you sell, but the person you serve or help. And I think that was so good to me because my problem is that I want to add value and serve, but my knowledge, I sometimes just say everything. Like I cannot just make it simple. And one of the fun thing is like, yes, no, on Monday, yeah, on Monday or no, Sunday, I post something on Instagram. Like I didn't overthink. I just put this drink comes with me wherever I go, balancing my blood sugar because I'm going to go and have lunch with my friend. Super simple. I didn't think it was going to do anything. I have like a lot of people, random people that I don't even know on Instagram. Can you tell me more about this drink? So I feel like for me, it's just a new mindset of first, do not overthink. Second, I don't want my content to go to white noise either. So I have to define who I'm serving and be okay with only speaking to that person, because even if I can help one mom to have more energy and feel them better, that should be a win for me. It's not about the amount of followers, it's the quality of people that you will have, the one there. And then I don't have to sell the product. I have to sell myself. Like I have to create my own brand that people will fall in love with me. So they will buy my product. And I've been following some people from a different, like a company. And what they do is like they serve so well their audience during their content and their feed that they only promote their products on the stories. And I think that's what goes more with my approach of doing social media. I want to add value in different things, but I also want to tie how these products have helped me in my motherhood journey, because I will not where I am without this. So just really understanding in my mind that I am a problem solver. I have a solution for people, and I have to think like every time with my posts, it's not just to encourage, but it's to talk to the ideal customer that is somebody like me. So every time I'm writing a post now, I want to, like, I read it and I'm like, wait, am I the customer to buy this? So a lot of really good things. I have like notes of notes, but that was one thing that I really liked, and I'm uniquely and qualified for that person that God had there for me. So just trusting in this, adding value, and just knowing that it's not about the product either. It's the solution that we're bringing to a problem that people have that is real. And how amazing. We have this amazing gift. Every time I think about it, it's like, why sounds so easy? But then when I'm trying to post, I overcomplicate it myself. I'm overcomplicated. So anyway, just simplify and be transactional. It's one thing that I'm trying to do with every post now.
So good, Mary. I wrote that down too. Just the idea, I think this was direct quote from him. Ask yourself before you post, is this post valuable even if they're not ready to buy? And I loved, I don't know, I loved that. I thought that was just a really simple line and a really simple prompt. Like, is this post adding value even if someone isn't ready to buy? And that idea, I think this is exactly what you're speaking to, but the idea of user generated content, that's what you were doing. Like when you were sharing in your stories was like, people will find out about the product from an actual person that they find relatable. And really, it's just sharing your product experience. And you don't really put a sale type post in your content. That's not the purpose of your content. So I'd say your stories were right on with that. And that's why it was good and successful. You nailed it, girl. So thank you for sharing.
I guess the biggest thing for me that he talked about was just like selling yourself on yourself. And how he talked about like it's not about the views or the likes, like to be a huge influence. It's like having like that hot market, like that small number of people that you're adding value to. And I think the thing that I struggle the most is like finding out who that is. But like I should just be looking for somebody just like me. And so, because I've always like struggled, like most a lot of our team and people are mothers, and so like they're like, oh, look at this drink that helps me get through motherhood. And so like I've always had this like mind thing of like figuring out like who am I really trying to serve, like because I'm about to get married, but when I first started Plexus, I wasn't like in a relationship, wasn't getting married, didn't have kids, and so I've always struggled like, who am I really supposed to be serving? So still trying to like work through that, but just like trying to serve people just like me.
Right on. Yeah, I think that's helpful too, is like you have like your target audience, and it's someone like you. So something that may be helpful, Caitlin, is to just kind of write down some of the things that one, Plexus has helped you with. Um,
Hmm.
but then also, yeah, what are some different descriptors about you that you can speak to other people that are like you,
Yeah.
Christian women, different little things. Maybe it has to do with your profession, or maybe it has to do with some of the interests you have, but you have value to offer and to create something based on who you are, and you're going to attract people that like those same things. So
Hmm.
I loved that about this training too. I'm glad you brought that up. And you also touched on that idea, like we don't need to have a big following. We don't need to be like in, you know, 20, 30, 40K, whatever, influencer to have a successful network marketing business. Really, it's about just connecting, being authentic and relatable with the audience you do have. And that was encouraging to me, honestly, because the idea of having like this massive following is really intimidating and stressful to me. Like, it's not something I want. I know there's people that do, but I don't think I want that. Like, that's not attractive to me. And so the idea that you can still be successful and not have this massive account was a big breath of fresh air and a sigh of relief. So thank you for bringing that up. I think that was a takeaway for me too. I had millions of takeaways, so that's why I'm like, yeah, I love that. Me too.
And I know he obviously loves the profession of network marketing, which is why he's made a career in, coaching it well. But I'm always so encouraged because I remember what the picture is of the call tonight was him speaking at our convention in 2019. And I love how he how he brought that up and just continues to feel like how amazing that was to be a part of our company and a part of our culture. Like with all the companies that he's worked with all of the people that he gets to see their business models and coach them through certain things, and like how he still highly respects Plexus and our products and just our company. Like, I know for me, that's like, I don't ever want to feel brainwashed, and I don't ever want to feel like I'm brainwashing other people or just saying something because, well, I think we're awesome, obviously, but just to be reminded that someone who's totally removed from the picture, like he has had a lasting impact because of our company and still respects us so much. But And also like on the same kind of coin, but on a different note, like how he just still shed even more light on how network marketing is still one of the best ways to utilize our social presence. Like when, like he said, everyone is affiliate marketing this or trying to sell this or, you know, all of these other different things. But like, truthfully, when they're not showing up or when they're not providing links or whatever it is, like they're not getting paid or, you know, their business isn't growing. And I think it's just really helpful to hear, again, someone who knows a little bit more and has a little bit more feelers out into that, because we see a lot on social, but obviously people are, they're marketing to us. Like we're seeing highlight reels and all of that too. And I think for me, especially, I don't necessarily struggle with the grass is greener for myself, but when I am confused or drawn to see other things, then it makes me less apt to share for someone else to get started, because I know the fruit of it in my own life. I get a paycheck every month that helps me see that this works. You know what I mean? But it's like, I lose my confidence in sharing about this opportunity with someone who is not getting started, or I lose my confidence in, you know, helping you guys get where you're going to go when I'm like, well, maybe there is something better out there that would work, you know, for them. But always thankful for those just little hints and reminders of like this is worthwhile. This is what you need to be using, you know, your social. Like I get maybe $11 randomly from Amazon associates, like with the links that I have on my Amazon shop. I had someone ask me a couple of months ago, like, how much are you making from Amazon? And I'm like, granted, I don't push it very much and there's not a ton of stuff on there, but it's like $3 or like $11. And I mean, people like the bathing suit, you know, the random stuff that I have shared on there. And like, yes, for sure, I could beef that up and like learn about how to make that better and learn about all of these other things. But it's like, why, you know, confuse myself and divert myself when this is kind of the like a model that truly that's what people are looking to do, you know, be able to create a small community of people that just want what you have. And that's it. But yeah, I had all of the same notes written down. I think we all, obviously, it was such a great call. But I think too, even at my level of this business, even the sell yourself on yourself thing was big for me too, because it's that like, who am I to share about this? Or a lot of times I don't want people to look to me as an expert. Like, I feel like it's a lot of responsibility. So even if I feel like I know what I'm talking about, I'm like, I don't really want people to think that I know what I'm talking about, because then I'm accountable for it. Right. So I think a lot of that conversation was just really helpful to me too, of just like, for instance, Trisha Rhaegar, who is sharing tonight, I think on the community huddle or one of the calls that she was preparing for tonight. And then Marian Anderson, I don't see as much, like Marianne doesn't share a lot of the negative comments. I'm sure she gets them too. But like every reel that Trisha, and she's been so like forthcoming with it. If you watch in her stories, every reel that she's had that's gone viral has gone viral because people are so horribly rude and mean and belittling her family, her lifestyle, like derogatory and just horrible. And like I had that one reel about rice where, I mean, I was just like, I don't want another reel to have that many views right now, because everyone was just mean and thought that I was stupid because I didn't wash my rice, when I'm just like, I was just sharing something that was interesting, you know? And I'm like, if that's what it takes to go, like, I don't know that my skin is thick enough for that to like not. And so when he said like, stop chasing likes and comments, and it's not about going viral anymore, like you don't have to have the shock value where you're dealing with all of these people. Like, I don't like to say big, bold statements a lot of times because I don't want to have to argue with people and have to back it up. You know what I mean? And that's what it takes to go viral these days, is you say something, you know, unpopular opinion and all that. And it's like, I don't want to ruffle feathers, like, but I do want to serve people and I do want to help people. And so that was a little bit more freeing for me too, even to just be like, you know, if that reel only has 400 views instead of 4,000, like that's okay. Who cares if, you know, it doesn't pop off, but like continuing to niche down and actually serve that one person, right? And that's always really helpful. I think we hear that in different ways. Like, I liked how he said you can sell to anybody. Obviously, our products help everybody, but our marketing has to be consistently more focused toward that one kind of type of person. But then that will grow actual people who care about your content and are more in line with who you're going to want to be in conversation with and who's actually going to, want to talk to you kindly, potentially about your products anyway. So anyway, yeah, it was just a lot of really good stuff. And I just appreciate him so much. I hope that we'll get to see him again at one of our events soon.
Yeah, I do too. I think he shares, I feel like he has a heart to really care and serve. And I really think that the large majority of people in Plexus have that same heart. So I feel like he just aligns really well. And so I hope they have him come back sometime. Yeah, his 3 principles that he talked about were, and we've touched on different points he's made within these principles, that these were kind of his big headings. And I wrote just a simple little 1 or 2 sentences under each one. And so if for the people that didn't watch his training that might be watching this, I'm going to just share some of those, and then we can wrap things up unless you guys have other things you really want to discuss. I love hearing how you guys are going to incorporate this and some of those things as well. But some of the 3 principles he talked about, one was to share your products in content. So you talk about them, but you sell in conversation. So he highlighted a lot just the importance of having private conversations in after you post your content. So starting conversations with people that comment, starting conversations with people that like it, and don't go necessarily right into the, hey, you want to try it, but connecting with them first and, showing up without the ask, so to speak. And, it it leads to that, but it's going to show those people also just your heart is more about them and not about whatever you are trying to sell. So you want to jump in, Sal?
Yeah, I randomly had a conversation with Jody because I saw her sharing in her stories about like freebies, and I was like, "Are you doing something on time?" And she was like, "No, just about the free balance and the free slim since that's running out." And she had already watched the Bob Heilig training when she was doing some of this, and she said, "I actually signed a person today because of what he said of messaging everybody who likes, comments, or votes on something." And she's like, I had a few people that actually responded to whatever it was that she shared. And she was like, and I messaged and I said, thank you so much. Any engagement is always so helpful, kind of that same thing that we've talked about before. And she is like, and, just let me know if there was anything that you, found, interesting or were curious about. I'm always around to help. And they were like, actually, yeah, I did. I was curious about this. And, I think I might want to try it. And she was like, if I hadn't reached out and asked that person, like they probably wouldn't have signed up. And they signed up that same day. So, and it was someone she'd never talked to about any of that before. So I think that obviously it's always a win when we're like putting something to practice and we can say, okay, there's a reason why he's telling everyone in his group to do this. And there's a reason, we've said, like, if we're not in conversation, make sure we're sending messages and to everyone who's liked and saying thank you. But again, it kind of does go back to that, like, it's not rocket science. You don't have to be a marketing guru. Like, it just is about having conversations and actually being a human, and we can all do that because we all have the Holy Spirit in us on this call, and we can ask him to help us to love people well and actually care about connecting with others and not being afraid of that. So I thought that was a helpful story to go along with number one.
Yeah, that's right on with what we're talking about. This is the other little blurb I wrote down under it, but just that when people feel like they're being sold to, they emotionally shut down. And so I just think that highlights the importance of having content that adds value, whether people are ready to buy or not, and just the importance of that question. Is this post valuable even if people aren't ready to buy? So I really appreciated that point, and just yeah, the idea of putting saving the sale, I guess. Or so his second point was sales is about your product and marketing is about your prospect. So that's the idea. We've talked about this too in our call already, but the idea of having a target audience and being authentic and relatable. But then yeah, your business is defined by the people you serve. And just like I think Caitlin had said this, the people that you're serving are people with problems that you've had to deal with and you're solving on your own, and you're speaking to that specific person. So having a specific audience in mind when you're posting is important for growth. So, and then the third thing is just to be more present in your content. And that is that one was a big one for me. Like, just the idea of me showing up and me talking and sharing more of myself and not hiding behind plexus. And so I thought that was just a really great point, and something, sorry, my daughter is making my face blurry. But anyway, I thought that was a really helpful tip, and I think he really highlighted well just the importance of showing up as your authentic and relatable self. And really, that is what's going to draw people in and help you connect with them. So they trust you and they trust what you say, especially as you're growing a potential Instagram following, where there may be people that don't personally know you. And so to be able to connect with people from your content and bring yourself to the table, I guess, in my own words, I think is just really important. So those were the three principles he discussed, and I thought they were just really helpful as we think about how to love and serve our audience and our customers too. So let's see, I want to just make sure I didn't miss anything I really wanted. We kind of talked about the how I content. Oh, I thought this was really important. We didn't really talk about this, but this is kind of our last thing here before we wrap up. But the idea of, as we're posting and we're focusing on sharing our own knowledge and experience, adding value usually involves sharing something we know and educating people, or encouraging people in a specific area. And it's easy to feel like we're not the expert, so we shouldn't be speaking on it. The idea of just imposter syndrome, like, hey, who am I to say this? But really, it just goes back to the heart behind it. Like, our heart should be to help and give. And if we're creating content with the how I um, um, just keeping that as like the format, the how I content, rather than how they or always sharing other people's things. I think it allows us to be authentic and relatable, and we're not pretending to be someone we're not, because we're just sharing about our own experience in our own life. Um, and you're not claiming to be the expert or know all the answers. So
Really
I
seeing too,
thought
like,
that was
even
really helpful.
yeah, outside of even like feeling like the expert, I don't like to be wrong either. Kind of like I was saying like before, like I don't want people to fight with me in my comments because I don't want to have to like defend myself. Like all of that like makes me like really flustered. But nobody can dispute your personal experience. Like even if they want to, you're not saying, I didn't say everybody does this, and I didn't even say it's the only way to do this, but this is how I did this. And if you want to do what I did, here's what it is. Like in any way. This is how I do my laundry. This is how I study the Bible. This is how I make sourdough bread. It's not like everybody else. It's not the best way. I'm not saying, but I am saying this is what has worked for me and this is how I did it. And to me, that's like, it's a safe zone of, not getting into the like imposter syndrome of feeling like, I have the answer for every single person. And then people are going to be like, I'm like, can you tell I'm more non-confrontational than I ever thought that I was? But that is very helpful. They can't say that you didn't do it a certain way because they can if they want to, but it's just an opinion. And at that point. Anyway, thank you so much, Kim, for helping us walk through all of that. And if you're watching the recording, strongly encourage you to go back to that post or back to the thread and listen to the Bob Heilig call. Again, he is just someone who really, like Kim said, aligns with how we want to create our Plexus communities and create our new wellness clubs, if you will, thinking about that. And in February, I want you to be brainstorming ways that you might feel comfortable and confident in creating a mini wellness club of your own. There potentially is something coming in February where you will get to register your wellness club and get some freebies from corporate, some of those types of things. But in that way, I feel like it's empowering because whether it's a Wednesday walk at work that you're inviting people to on their lunch break at a nearby, grocery store where you're just walking around the parking lot, or, sourdough classes or whatever it is, it could be once a month, it could be weekly, it could be every other week, whenever. But that's not something that just has to be like someone with a humongo team. Like the point is to create community around the idea of wellness, right? So that doesn't even have to be people that are ordering from you or that you've even talked to about Plexus, but that you become someone who are creating friendships around and creating community around this idea of like, let's encourage each other to live better and, have fun and all of those things. So start having those types of things on your radar, just brainstorming what that might look like, even if it's you and a handful of people or you and a couple of people in the beginning, that is something that you can enjoy and then continue to invite people to, but being on the lookout for that in February. But yes, remember, last 3 days of the month and the first 3 days of the month, we are doing that count off giveaway for all of the ads that you got. So if you're in conversation, try and wrap some of those up before the month ends for those freebies for them and the $10 off either way. Everyone who orders this month, whether it's a new order, a repeat order, and an extra entry for their subscription in February, gets an entry to win that tumbler also on the community page. So that's some of the things I'm using to follow up with, especially people I was in conversation with early in the month. Like, hey, before, these freebie type things, the free balance or the free bag of Slim or $10 off code goes away, and you get to be into this drawing for one of these awesome Simple Modern tumblers just for placing your order this month. Always, you can throw in your own specials to get people off the fence. But our goal going forward will be making sure we're closing the month well, tying up all of the conversations and following up well, but also starting our month off well. Just because someone doesn't order by midnight on the 30th or 31st or 28th next month, doesn't mean that we just, put our hands back. It's, starting off on the right foot that helps you get ahead for the next month too. So that's where that is coming from. And other than that, we're looking forward to some fun stuff in February. But yeah, I will see you guys on the flip side. Good night. And thank you so much, you guys, for being here on live. Night.